What is a common myth that has been debunked but too many people still believe? That we only use 10% of our brain. Swallowed gum remains in your stomach for 7 years. No more, no less. Once the year 7, being of the 7th year post gum swallowing, be reached, then passeth thou thy swallowed gum towards thine toilet. Deoxygenated blood is blue. It's actually very dark red. Story time. In grade 8 I was reading the textbook, and it said deoxygenated blood was shown as blue in the diagram for ease of seeing, but that in reality it was dark red. So when my teacher said deoxygenated blood was blue, I put up my hand and tried to explain what I'd read, and she dismissed me and moved on, and I'm still mad. Popping your knuckles is actually harmless, and this study, that claimed it caused arthritis, was heavily flawed. Studies now show that it has nothing to do with causing arthritis. My 3rd grade teacher gave me detention because I cracked my knuckles, and she told me of her arthritis, and I said it wasn't true. I did not show up for detention. That Albert Einstein failed math and/or was uneducated. This myth originated due to a misunderstanding of grading scales. Einstein's primary education took place in Germany, where the grading scale went from 1, best, to 5, worst. His secondary education was in Switzerland, where the grading scale went from 1, worst, to 6, best. His scores in math and science were excellent at all stages of his education. The taste zones on the human tongue are not really a thing. Not only was this one a myth, they taught us this in school. I remember coloring in the different sections of the tongue various colors. I was apparently placeboed into thinking this as well. I was taught this in an anatomy class in the 12th grade. It wasn't like it was elementary. I can't believe my college-educated anatomy teacher still pushed this narrative to high schoolers. She had us bring in certain salty, sweet, sour drinks and snacks, and we tested them on the zones. I believed it because it seemed like certain areas did feel differently than others. The myth that if you are good at math you ain't good at art, and vice versa. Stupidest shit ever. I am good at neither. Lemmings aren't suicidal. They were filming a Disney nature documentary where the producers herded them off cliffs, and the misconception stuck. It's been debunked, but you ask someone about lemmings and see what they say. The myth predates Disney, but documenting it on film cemented it. Lemmings are Arctic critters that do not hibernate. They dig snow tunnels where they are safe from predators and spend all winter doing what rodents do, eating and breeding. In a normal year, the spring melt exposes them to predators that bring the population down to a normal level. If the melt is late, they run out of food and many of them starve. When the snow melts, it washes dead lemmings into streams, then rivers, and then seas. People see mats of dead lemmings in the water and draw a mistaken conclusion that if you get too close to a baby bird, the mother will smell human on the baby and abandon the nest. You probably should still avoid touching baby birds for other reasons like disease or risking injury to the animal though. The vast majority of birds have little to no sense of smell, so this doesn't work for birds. However, if you go to a baby mammal and get your scent on it, there is a chance the mother could abandon it. Not turning your airplane mode on, smartphone, interfere jam communications. Do you really think if a smartphone might endanger a whole plane with passengers they would let it fly? Yes and no. No, a phone will never actually fuck up a plane, no matter what. But if you take a large airport and imagine every cell phone in there sending and receiving signals, you get a load of interference, or you did get, when phones still use similar frequencies, in radio communication, especially when 100 to 200, or even more, depending on the plane, of those phones are on the plane itself. Today it's mainly to control passenger behavior. If you allowed phones, far fewer people would watch the safety instructions, and generally notice what happens around them. The vaccine and autism link. Debunked decades ago. The sole proponent lost his medical license over it. Yet every anti-vax mom apparently knows someone whose friend's cousin has a child who turned autistic after the measles vaccine, and somehow not a single one has met this alleged autistic child, but the story is of course 100% true and vaccines are terrible. Even if this was totally true, I can't understand the reasoning that a child with autism is somehow worse than one dead from measles. Shaving makes hair grow back thicker. When I was learning how to shave, I remember this one being debunked in a teen magazine. What they said made sense. A new hair grows with a kind of pointed tip. When you shave, you cut off that part. So what is now growing is middle of the hair, which is thicker. That waking a sleepwalker is dangerous for them. They might wake up confused, but they'll be fine unless you scream at them or something. As someone who has been attacked by a sleepwalker who was still half dreaming that I was trying to abduct her, it's more dangerous for you than for them. Not sure if it counts as a myth that's been debunked, but people who misunderstand average life expectancy. When you hear that the average life expectancy was 40 a couple hundred years ago, it's not that people would only live to 40, but that half the population was dying in infancy and the other half living to 80. Obviously, I'm exaggerating these ratios to make a point. In 1900, a third of live births died before the age of 5, which really pulls the average down. Pool dye that detects urine. I keep the blue gel food dye in my TV cabinet by the pool and prank my friends. I'll slip it in my bikini top and swim behind them and squirt it around their butt. The gel takes a bit to disperse, so I stealthily swim off and then loudly ask, "Did you just pee in my pool?" and point at the expanding blue cloud surrounding their ass. If I was better at holding in my laughter, it would be even better, but I get about 45 seconds of them looking horrified and confused and bumbling their defense before I lose it. 1010 would recommend. I was swimming in a friend's pool once, and they said they had this special chemical that would show up orange when someone pees. I said, "Let's try it out," and she said, "No, don't." So if a pool owner tries to lay this lie on you, offer to test it out. Flat Earth definitely, I mean there's a society about it. I suspect 75% of members are in it ironically to troll other members. Kind of like the cliché of the local police, state police, and FBI all infiltrating a criminal gang that turns out to be nothing more than other undercover officers, each convinced everyone else is a criminal. They're all thinking, "These idiots have no idea I'm playing along with their foolishness." Lightning never strikes twice in the same place. Yeah, that would basically invalidate lightning rods. And I think that park ranger who's been struck by lightning 6+ times would tend to disagree with that notion. The myth about you swallowing 8 spiders. It was made up to prove how misinformation can spread so quickly over the internet. Height dominance in parrots is not a thing. A bird will not want to show dominance over you just because their cage is eye level. Birds just like being high up. The reason you don't want a big bird on your shoulder is because you don't want that big beak near your eyes if it becomes startled. Why did the pirate wear an eye patch? That's the side his parrot sits on. You shouldn't go swimming shortly after eating. There's no reason that should be dangerous. However, swimming after drinking alcohol puts you at a substantially higher risk of drowning. Anything after alcohol makes anything a higher risk of danger. Even walking, as you can fall over and hit your head seriously. Swimming after eating increases the chances of a kid throwing up birthday cake into the pool. You must wait 24 hours before reporting a missing person. Some questions. 1. 24 hours from when? The time you realized they were missing? The time you estimate they went missing? The time of the initial report to police? 2. Who is the legal timekeeper? If this is a law, it must have a designated timekeeper for official records. City police? County sheriff? Do I hire a private attorney to file a timekeeping motion in court? 3. If the most likely time to find a missing person is the first 24 hours, why would you wait 24 hours? 4. If the person dies or is severely injured because the county state refused to initiate a search, doesn't that put some liability on their office? It seems like that would have been tested in court by now. There's no law governing how long you have to wait before notifying the police of a missing person. It's nonsense. File a report as soon as you suspect the person is missing or in danger. Cold water boils faster than hot water. But isn't the opposite true? Doesn't hot water freeze faster than cold water? Or is that a myth I'm remembering from grade school? Hot water cools faster because the transfer of energy starts at a higher rate. I hate that my mother-in-law was correct about that. That dogs see in black and white. They do see color, just not as many as we do. They basically just have red-green color blindness. Sugar causes hyperactive behavior. I hate that I know this is a myth, and yet I still catch myself thinking, oh no, if I have all this cake on top of everything else, I'm going to be wired. I mean, there are other reasons not to have so damn much sugar, but dumb monkey brain go haha, let's be hyper every damn time. Sharks eat people. No, they don't. They attack people and then spit them out most times. Source: I'm a certified shark conservation diver. Russians use pencils in space. I think originally it was a joke about how the USA spent so much money on developing a zero-G pen that could write upside down without leaking all over the place. But the USSR just sent their men up with pencils. Nope. I am turning 40 next month and someone finally told me I was wrong. Did you know that's a myth? Yeah, they also had to do zero-G pen research. I countered with the paper peel or mechanical pencil idea. It's not the wood shavings. That fine graphite dust would be hell on electronics as an electrical conductor, and there would be no way to control it. They made pens too. I don't know about wax pencils, might be too cold up there at times. So, I knew there had to be more to the story. But for over 1/3 of my life I believed a joke relayed to me as truth from my father, now retired engineer at Lockheed Missiles and Space, about the budget savings of the USSR. It has made me question a lot of facts I took for granted because Dad is smart, and he said. What is a common myth that many people still believe? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.